Tommy, talk.
It was Tet, Vietnamese New Year, and the traffic was unmovable in front of the little store I was sitting in front of, with many other foreigners. They put out plastic chairs and tables at night and literally become a patio bar. It was a cool spot, the coolest spot you'll ever find in Hanoi. And it was Tet, it was New Year, so there was big parties and stuff. So here was this guy caught in all this traffic. And when you get caught in traffic in Hanoi, you don't move, and you're walking, you don't move, okay? Not only cars don't move, motorcycles, people don't move. I call it a people jam. So there was a people jam in front of me, and there was this guy who was sitting on this piece of wood. And he was right in front of his face, was face height with an exhaust of a scooter. Hanoi is full of scooters, it's so polluted. And the guy revved it, and the exhaust hit the guy in the face, and his hair blew back. I saw this and went, oh my God, man. Like, shouldn't you be somewhere else instead of sucking some guy's exhaust pipe up, you know? But I guess he was used to it. He must have been on that piece of wood all his life. He looked like he was in his 40s or so, you know? And I thought, wow, this is even worse than the skateboard kids I used to see in China who were all mangled. At least they had wheels on their skateboards, you know, they could get around. This guy had to literally had a piece of a stick and would elevate himself and move in hops and take exhaust in the face like that. I felt so sorry for him. I picked up a bottle of vodka and I pointed at it, and I went like this with it, my drink. And he was like, okay, so I grabbed the vodka, I poured him a drink, and I reached over and handed it to him. I wasn't far from him. And he drank it, bang! Gave him a cup back, and he's like, ah, he liked it, you know, he had a smile on his face. And, you know, the woman from the store came out and started giving him shit and telling him to get out of here, and he just looked around like, yeah, I can't go anywhere, lady, and so she just walked away, you know. And then finally the traffic moved and he made his way. And next I saw this girl of about 6 years old, or maybe 8, I don't know. They're quite small when they're street children. And she was poking at this piece of chicken with a stick that lay on the street to see if it was still alive or dead, I guess. I could see she wanted to pick it up, and the crowd was watching, screaming, no, 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 at different intervals, you know. They offered her food, you know, come over here. Her tiny hand just simply waved them off, as if to say, no autographs today. Then she stabbed the chicken with the poker she had, stuck the chicken in her mouth, boom. And the crowd groaned, oh! Another brilliant performance had come to an end. But she returned for an encore. A sucker dangling from her mouth. Her countrymen booed her, jeered her. They tried to grab out for her little body. She resisted, pulling away, and continued down the catwalks. Next, please. The middle-aged woman pushed the wheelchair through the overcrowded streets. The poor girl in the chair, mentally disabled, physically disabled both, she often hit her face with her flailing arms as her pusher bargained with customers. She was trying to coerce people into buying small little packets of tissue paper, snacks, combs, stuff like that. She was using this girl to make everybody feel sorry for her. And this poor girl, she was so embarrassed. She turned her head away anytime anybody looked at her. I mean, she knew what was going on. It was there's such a cold reality to life that many people don't see, you know. And 30 years ago, in Vietnam. It was one of the poorest countries in the world. I mean, you were lucky to have a bowl of rice to eat. You know, when the commies took over in the 70s, one of the generals said, we knew how to win a war, but we didn't know how to run a country. And so people starved and died until they switched over to capitalism, and then now, like, just the same thing China did. They still have the commies in power, but it's a capitalist system. Thoroughly capitalist, more capitalist than you will ever experience in any country. Yeah. So at about 12:30 a.m., although it was New Year's, the celebration, it was over. Everybody had to close their shops. And there was these military guys walking around with these huge hats this far off their bloody head. They looked ridiculous, right? They're big officer hats. And they're walking around and they're herding people down the street. And everybody's just walking down the street, not even knowing where they're going, you know. And it was time to go home. Why did they close so early? Well, because Uncle Ho is sleeping. And always remember, no child deserves a useless parent. Feed, clothe, educate, and house your children well, or I'm going to give you such a slap. Oh.